Welcome to episode 1 of my personal journey and journal. This is the Unbroken Men podcast. If you don't know me, I'm Michael Anthony Unbroken. I'm an author, speaker, coach, and the podcast host of Think Unbroken. I wanted to start Unbroken Men for two reasons. One, this is going to be kind of my own personal audio journal and journey. And two, because I want to help men who were once like me or who may be like how I once was. And I thought about this for a long time because it means I have to change a lot about my own personal journey, what we do at Think Unbroken, how we do it, who we serve, and why we serve them. My story, if you don't know, I'll give you kind of the cliff notes because you can go Google me and listen to me on like 400 podcasts and find some things out. My story is very simple. I grew up in Indianapolis in the 80s and 90s. My mother was a drug addict and alcoholic. She actually, if you're watching this, she cut my right index finger off. So you can see multiple surgeries, skin grafts, discolorations, crooked, missing half the nail. She was a vicious abuser. My mom was manic depressive, bipolar, schizophrenic, suicidal. She was mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, sexually abusive. She just was. When I look at her experience in relation to mine, the one thing that I always take away from it is that hurt people hurt people. And she had never done any of the work that I'm doing. She had never, to my knowledge, really let the pain heal. I know that she was beat, molested, raped, like bad things happened to my mom, like period. Hurt people, period, people. And she married my stepfather who was, I mean, the dude was a fucking nightmare. Like, and I mean this genuinely. Every single day of my childhood was pure torture. All of it. Every moment that he was around was horrific. He beat the shit out of me and my brothers. He put me in the hospital. He mentally was, I would argue the mental was way worse than the physical. The belittling, the talking down to, the stilling of my identity. You know, I teach people all the time that the thing that trauma does worse than anything is it takes your identity. And he did a masterful job of stripping me of that. We were literally terrified all the time. And so that's what I come from. And I thought to myself, as I've been coaching and leading people for almost a decade, thousands of people have taken my courses. Tens of thousands have read my books. Millions have downloaded the podcast. I've spoken on stage in front of who knows how many people. And then I realized something. I realized something that's really important, something that is not talked about enough. It's that all of the men that I am closest to in the world who have dramatically changed their life all had one thing in common. They all surrounded themselves by the men that they wanted to be. In my personal life, I do that. It took me a long time to get to that. I was fucking terrified of men. I'm dead serious. What little boy wouldn't be? I was terrified that they would hurt me, that they wanted something from me, that it was just going to be another reason to be used anytime I connected with men. And so in this journey of coaching, of leading, I've had all of these men come to me. Just a tremendous, I can't even name the number of men that I have coached. I have no idea. It's got to be, I literally don't know. It's in the thousands. And here's what I've taken from it. Those men have come to me because I went to the men in front of me because I needed them. And these men need me. And there is a massive shift happening in my personal life. There is a massive shift happening in my professional life. And I wanted to use this space of Unbroken Men, this podcast, this audio journal, which is so much different than anything Think Unbroken is, to just share where I'm at on the daily basis. And it's going to be raw and really fucking real like even more real than Think Unbroken. People will message me like, "Oh my God, that story you shared was so incredible. Thank you for sharing that story." And I'm like, great, I've rehearsed that story 700 times. It carries no real weight in my life anymore. And most of the people who listen to that show are probably tired of me telling that story anyway. And what this is going to be, and I'll tell you this, I'm speaking from a man's perspective to men. Women, if you are listening, you are more than welcome to listen. I'm here for that. That's totally fine. This is public. Anyone who wants to listen to this is more than allowed and capable and able to listen. But I am speaking to men. I am going to talk about shit from the man's perspective. I'm going to talk about dark, fucked up things that we've done, that I've done. I'm going to talk about how I see the world. I'm going to talk about why we as men are completely fucked up right now. I'm going to talk about why society has put us into a place where we are complacent and fucking weak, where we are Cheeto eating, fucking Mountain Dew drinking, overweight, living in our mom's fucking basement losers. I'm going to go hard, and I'm going to talk about it from my perspective as a man who lived everything I just said, minus living in the mom's basement because my mom is dead. So here's where we begin this show, this conversation. I'm just going to lay it out on the line. And I'm going to tell you what I'm building, what is in front of me. And if you want to come along on this journey, then I will shelter you under this light and we will fucking destroy the darkness of the world. I believe that to be the most true thing I've ever said in my life. And it's going to be fucking hard. Most men are weak. My closest friends, the men that I love the most in the world, we sit down and we talk about it. And we see it. We see how they're dressed. We see how they're acting. We see how their bodies are. We see their behaviors. We see them splitting the checks with their women on dates. We see them not stepping up, not leveling up. We see them in a disaster. And for some of you, you're going to be triggered and you're going to be like, fuck you, Michael, I'm never listening to you. Okay, fine. And your life will continue to suck. I know that's an intense thing to say, but I'm coming hard because I want people to get the fuck unstuck. We live in the Matrix. I've said this publicly a bajillion times. I believe we live in the Matrix. In fact, I believe so much so, like on the back of my phone right now, it says, "Wake up, Neo." Motherfuckers, you guys need to wake up. I needed to wake up. Not only did I need to fucking wake up, I needed to fix a lot of shit. A lot of really dark shit. A lot of fucked up things that I had done. A lot of hurt people. A lot of burned bridges, a lot of lies. And what's really interesting where I'm at in my personal life is I think about the core tenets of who I am as a man, of Michael Anthony Unbroken, of this coach, of this speaker, this guy that people look up to. And the fucking truth of it all is it has been one of the it is literally the hardest thing that I've done to become me. Nothing is more fucking difficult than this. Like I'm telling you, I've built multi-million-dollar businesses. That shit is easy compared to looking yourself in the mirror. It's easy. So when I was young, like many guys, an ungodly number. I was sitting with dinner with Alan, one of my best friends, on Saturday night. We were talking about this because I said to Alan, I'm going to build this. I'm going to build this space for men who got fucking abused, who are not handling their shit, and I'm going to help them change their fucking lives. And I sat with him and I said, we start with this conversation. We start with this reality that over 130 million men were not raised with their father. That's stats. We looked it up. It's just stats. That is America. Welcome. 80% of divorces are initiated by women. In those divorces, 95% of the time, the woman gets the child. Boys are being raised without men in their lives. Boys are being feminized. Boys are being weak. And then if you're a boy who was abused and feminized, you're fucked. That's what happened to me. That is why my life was a complete goddamn train wreck, period. And then I figured something out. And that's what I've been doing for almost a decade, is helping other men and women until this point, helping them figure out the thing that I discovered. So here's the reality of this. I was sitting at dinner with Alan. We're talking, we're having this conversation, and I'm going to give him the space to tell his own story whenever that feels right. He doesn't even know I'm saying this if he cares, but well, too bad. I'm saying it anyway. He's my best friend. He can deal with it. He's one of my best friends. So we were just talking about our journey, and I was telling him that the one thing that I had to do to learn how to be a man was go and pay other men to teach me. I had to invest. I had to go to conferences. I had to go to events, to seminars, to online events. I had to read books. I had to get coaching. I had to go to support groups. I had to go to mentorship. I had to spend fucking so much money. It's insane. If I would have taken the amount of money I've invested in myself and I had spent it on real estate and bought property, I'd be worth 25 fucking million dollars right now. But I didn't. And here's why. Because I was a fucking train wreck. My life today, I'm not going to sit here and flaunt like I'm driving Lambos and live in a mansion. No, I don't. I run a multi-million-dollar company. I make multiple six figures in profit, which is king over everything. I have a Ford Explorer Platinum Limited. I have a great condo. I travel the world. Sometimes I fly first class. Sometimes I fly private. I do not have some big, giant, luxurious fucking life yet. I will. Mark my fucking words. And so all of that has only come from the investment of myself. But let me tell you where this started. And this is, again, I don't know what the fuck people are going to take out of this in this moment, because this is really a space for me to process and share the truth. What I'm in front of in this moment with building Unbroken Men is it is at 0 people. We have 0 leads. We have 0 customers. We have 0 people in the platform. We have $0 in revenue. We have $0 in profit. There is no business yet. I'm starting at 0. This is episode 1, conversation 1. This is the beginning. I'm going to document the whole fucking thing. I built Think Unbroken into $1 million company. I built my other business into a multi-million-dollar company. You always start at 0. This is the place where men are most afraid. This is the place where men are terrified, starting at 0. Because starting at 0 means you have to be seen. I'm not afraid to be seen. 0. No one. The fucking website, like as of right now, September 9th, 9:46 a.m., 2024. If you go to, by the time you listen to this, it'll be up probably. But if you go to unbrokenmen.com, it says 404 error. Site not live. Site is not live. We are building it. It is at 0, but we are coming. I'm telling you right now, we are coming. We're coming to support the guys who are on this fucking journey, who feel stuck, who feel lost, who don't know what the fuck to do, who are terrified, who are making minimum wage, who are overweight, who don't have good relationships with their family, let alone their partner, if they're even lucky enough to get laid, which most of them aren't. We're here to help. That's what we're doing. But we can only do that because we've been there. And by we, I mean me. I'm going to build this. There will be a we, but today it's Michael. And we'll build it just like I built Think Unbroken, just like I built my other companies. Today, we're at 0. But that's where everyone starts. And I'm going to track this. Watch. Mark my fucking words. By the time I'm dead, 1 million men will go through this program. Mark my words. So here's where I was. By the time that I was 12, my mother was in and out of rehab constantly. Never knew when she was going to be sober. Stepdad, over the road trucker. During that space between 8 to 12, I was basically abandoned. My grandmother adopted one brother. The state took the other brother. My stepdad took his son, my half brother. My sister went with her father. Me, the second boy, the first son, to my father, who I've never fucking met, by the way, minus once when I was like 5, which I don't even barely remember, whose name I fucking carry, was non-existent. And so here I am, I'm lost in the world. I don't know where I am. Ever. Bounced around place to place to place. In the Mormon church, strangers, friends of the family. Sometimes I would sleep in a van. I slept in abandoned houses. I was literally at one point before my 8th grade year, I lived in an abandoned house in Speedway, Indiana for 6 weeks. as a fucking child. So when people come to me and they want to step through the healing journey because it was so dark when they were a kid, I'm like, I get it. And so all of these things were happening. I got molested. I got beat. I got abused mentally, emotionally, physically. I got starved. I got hit with like, I mean, some of the shit I witnessed. I'm going to tell stories, guys. I'm telling you, I'm going to tell some dark motherfucking stories on here. You are not going to want to hear them, but many of you will relate and it will help you feel seen. And you have to stop fucking hiding. So by the time I'm 12, my grandmother finds this out. She comes and adopts me. She adopted me predominantly because I think that she felt guilty about raising kids who are fucking nightmare. My aunt, arguably the worst person I ever met as a kid, her anger issues were out of control. Understandable. I don't know where she's at now. Haven't talked to her in 20 years. My uncle, motherfucker's in prison for life. Got out for a few months, got caught again with child porn. He's in prison. That is my uncle. My mother died of an overdose, lost both of her legs. To my knowledge, I believe this is what my brother told me. She lost both of her legs. She was completely wasted all the time. Died in some middle of the nowhere hospice in Indiana when I was 22. I did not go to her funeral. My other uncle disappeared. Did not talk to our family. Randomly 5 or 6 years ago shows up. So my grandmother felt guilt. How could you not look at her fucking children? They were a disaster. The man she married, her husband, my grandpa, who I never met, because obviously he was a piece of shit, was a piece of shit. I look at my life. I'm getting adopted by this woman at 12 years old. I'm a paycheck to her. Not only that, she's fucking racist. Like I'm literally being raised by a racist grandmother who would say shit like, don't let those niggers in my house. Talking to my best friend Black, his name was Black. The motherfucker was the blackest dude that I've ever met in my life. She would talk to him, talk to me about him and say, if he's ever in my house again, get out of my house. You can go be a nigger with all your nigger friends. That was my grandmother raising me, biracial, black and white Michael, who's 12 years old, who doesn't know shit about the world, watching this person who's supposed to love me be a fucking racist. I start doing drugs when I'm 12. I start getting high every day. I start smoking weed every day, popping pills every day. My best friend Brian and I, we would go up the road to the Big Lots where his mom worked. We would steal Sufedrin, like off the shelf. This was before they figured out you could make it meth and you could just take it off the shelf. You could buy it. You didn't have to go behind the counter and give people your fucking ID. And so Brian and I would just get wasted. We called them Skittles. They were these little red pills about that fucking big. If you're watching me, they're very tiny. And we would just pop them and we'd get wasted. The world would slow down. And for a small period of time, I'd feel safe. 13, started getting drunk. Holy shit, man. I would just go hit those bottles. By the time that I was 15, got kicked out of high school for the second time. It was a disaster. Fighting, got caught selling drugs, got put in a last chance program, barely made it out of that. I actually excelled a little bit, which was nice for once. Started hooking up with girls because, like, duh, you're fucking like 16. Captain of the football team, excuse me, let me rephrase that. Captain of the wrestling team, played on the football team, sucked at both because I never committed. Even though I won a bunch of awards and things were good, I still wasn't that good because I wasn't committed. I didn't have anybody to believe in me. Constantly sabotaging. We'll get into that later. And then by the time that I was like 18, my mother, for the first time ever, was sober. My grandmother had fallen into a coma. She had a heart attack. I'm in the house with my brother, two of us together, me and Dom, trying to figure it out by our fucking selves. We are children, guys, fucking children. We have no idea what the fuck we're doing in the world. We're literally collecting coins all over the house to go and buy slices of pizza and Taco Bell. We're by ourselves. Our fucking aunt won't help us. Our mom's fucking, she moves in. She starts getting drunk again. I kick her the fuck out. I literally one night, my mom comes into my bedroom. I split a bedroom with my brother. I slept on the floor. He slept on the fucking bed because I fucking wet the bed until I was 18 because of all the fucking violence and the fucked up shit that happened to me. And so I slept on the fucking floor. My mom comes in one night. It's like 8 o'clock. I'm like chilling, listening to music, whatever, probably stoned. She starts hitting me because she can't figure out how to turn on the computer because she's so wasted that she unplugged it. And she's hitting me. And for the first and only time ever, I stood up. And I pushed her to the fucking ground and I stood over her and I said, if you ever touch me again, I'll fucking kill you. And I meant it. And I would have. And I looked at her and I said, you are not my mother. Never talk to me again. Until the day she died, I saw that woman maybe twice. And I had to. It's the only way I'm here. Swear to God, it's the only way I'm fucking. And so at 18, now I'm getting kicked out of school again. All this chaos with my mom, chaos with my little brother. Grandma's in this coma. Nobody knows which way is fucking up. It's all insane. And I remember having this very vivid moment where I'm getting kicked out of middle school. Excuse me, in middle school. I'm getting kicked out of this last chance program summer school after my senior year. All of my friends had already graduated. I got uninvited to every party. My girlfriend was pissed at me. I was the biggest embarrassment of the whole fucking place. I get kicked out of this last chance program. The same week I get fired from a warehouse job where I'm putting microchips and motherboards on an assembly line at Hewlett Packard. Doing a job fucking monkey could do. And I just went to my car and I sat in it and I said to myself, this has got to fucking end. You are not getting out of this car until you change your life. And that's what I did. And at 18, I made a decision that by the time I was 21, I was going to make $100,000 a year. And I fucking did it. Except for one thing. It was great. The money was great. The money was unbelievable. It went from fucking dirt poor, stealing food as a kid, stealing water to survive, being homeless, being beat up, being pissed on, being fucking just feeling like the goddamn world's against me, wanting to kill myself. I went from that to making $150,000, $200,000 a year at 21 years old. And that's when shit got real bad. And that's what I'm going to tell you guys about tomorrow. But in the meantime, it might be up. I don't know. It's going to be up at some point in the next day or two. It might be up. Go to unbrokenmen.com. I'm putting together a live challenge. It's the base work. It's the framework. It's the system. It's the process. It's the beginning of this journey for men. If your life fucking sucks, you got fucked up as a kid, I get it. I get it. If your life's still fucked up, let's go. You know who you are. I'm not talking to the people who think that I'm a crazy person and don't want to hear me and say I curse too much. I don't give a fuck about those people. I mean, respect, go do you, go find the person who's here to serve you. I'm talking to the men who know that they're a disaster. If you're one of these guys right now and you're looking at your fucking life and you're like, I fucking hate my life. I want to end it. My wife doesn't fuck me. I have no money. I'm overweight. I can't cross the finish line. Nothing is working. I can't get a date. I'm single. I'm weird. I have no friends. I have no community. You need to come to Unbroken Men. So go to unbrokenmen.com. Like I said, it might not be live. We are literally building. We are at zero. This is episode 1, moment 1. This is the beginning. I'm documenting this whole fucking journey. That's where we're at. And so here's the reality. Here's what I will tell you before I sign off for today. I'm going to share a level of truth with you about my experience as a man who went through the worst fucking trauma you can imagine, the worst abuse you can imagine, I have seen things that would fucking make most people kill themselves. And that's why I tried to twice. And today, I want to just paint you a picture. Give me 2 minutes. I want to just paint you a picture of what my life looks like today and why you can have this too. And why this isn't some bullshit skeezy sales thing. Why thousands of men have worked with me. Millions have listened to this podcast. The other podcast, not like you might be one. You might be literally the first person to ever listen to this. I don't know. This is what it looks like. Very simple. Very simply, this is what it looks like. I wake up in the fucking morning and I love myself. And I stick to my commitments. I am a leader. I do what I say I'm going to do. I show up. I play all out. I don't negotiate with myself. I don't make excuses. I don't blame the world. I get it done. And it's fucking hard every day, but I keep doing it and I don't quit on myself and I trust myself. And you can have that too. You have to do the work. I'm not doing it for you. I'm here to support. I'm here to be a brother. I'm here to be a leader. I'm here to be the guy one step in front of you who you've always needed your whole life. Some of these men that I've worked with, man, when they fucking come, oh my God, their life's a fucking wreck. Their life is a fucking wreck. And then on the backside, they go, thank you for helping me. But I don't do it. I can't raise you into being the man that you're capable of being. I just show you the path. You know, when Rocky is fighting Apollo Creed, Mick isn't in the fucking ring, but Mick helped him get there. It was Rocky who did it, but he didn't do it by himself. And so many of you guys are out here trying to do this by yourself, but it's fucking stupid. Why the fuck do you think that the thing that you've been doing your whole life that has fucked you up so bad is going to be the thing that's going to set you free? That's going to be the thing that's going to change and transform your life. You're fucking out of your mind. Stop trying to do this alone and stop trying to do this with people who don't know this journey, man. Like whenever I see dudes working with, and respect, I'm going to say this with respect because I love these people and many of them I know personally. When I see men who got real fucked up working with women and they were raised by women, I'm like, that's not going to solve this fucking problem. You need to be working with men. And you do the same thing that I did, which I'm going to talk about, is you need to go and be around men and be in discomfort. You need to be uncomfortable with men who are in front of you. Because men like me will eat you for fucking lunch. But men like me will also take you to the next level. Because we know what it's like to be there. Guys, I'm telling you, I was 350 pounds, smoking 2 packs a day, drinking myself to sleep, cheating on my girlfriend, $50,000 in debt. My brothers would not talk to me. My fucking car got repoed. My business was failing. I was fucked up. My life is completely different today. You have to do the work. You have to do the work, guys. And so that's where I'm starting this. That's where I'm ending this. When I think about this journey, when I think about what is in front of me as a man and what is in front of you as a man, the thing that I'm building is community, is brotherhood. We're going to turn boys into men and men into leaders and leaders into kings. That is what we are doing here. And today we're at 0. There's not a single man in this program. By the end of this, 1 million men. Mark my fucking words. And I'm going to help them. And all the trauma they've been through, we're going to heal that. And all the bullshit in their way, we're going to get it out of the way. And all the times they lie, they're going to get rid of that fucking too. And ladies, if you're listening to this and you made it this far and you got a man in your life and you know he needs this shit, you need to tell him to go to fucking unbrokenmen.com and sign up. Tell that motherfucker to level up. Part of the problem, women, I'm going to get to you too. Part of the problem is you're letting your men be bitches. You're watching it. Queens do not allow kings to be princes. With that said, my friends, whatever is in front of us is going to be amazing, brothers. It's going to be hard. We're going to walk this path together. I'm not here posturing. I'm not pretending. I'm just going to tell you the fucking truth. So with that, brothers, be unbroken. We'll talk tomorrow.